Hello everybody and welcome along to Canada. We're here for RCR round number 1 of season 6 and we are in torrential rain at the moment. Ignore the ignore the clear skies. We're here at this wonderful circuit, 14 turns, a 4.361 kilometer circuit. Our first race was here in 1978. We're going to be doing 35 laps today, and just as you can see on the screen, the 3 DRS zones will provide some amazing overtaking and no doubt some brilliant racing. As you can see, I forgot to turn my mic off the screen, so we're going to do that now. We've had a bit of a... How do I do that? How do I do that? There we go, party overlay. Hope you've all had a good New Year. Hope you've had a good break. Hope you've had a good Christmas if you celebrate it. Let's get down to some racing, shall we? We're just moments away from the cars coming out on the track. This year it is slightly different because... Well, this season, sorry, not this... Well, yeah, this year too. This year, slightly different, and season slightly different because we will be doing the actual F1 24 cars rather than the F1 multiplayer car. As you can see, some drivers coming out onto the track already. Got Slazenger Volvo running out of the garage there. And who is that at the front? We're just going to flick over. Find out what's going on. Go. Full track map on. The tyres. Torrential rain will prove very difficult for all drivers involved. We've got 2 drivers that have opted for the intermediate tyre. The rest of them at the moment on the wets in the pits though. So they will obviously change over. We're going to take that off the screen. We're going to take that off the screen. We've got a nice healthy nice little leaderboard there. Other things that haven't changed because it's been a bit of a break period. We had the stream intro that said season 5. It is actually season 6. And the champion that's also on the intro is Binary. So won last season for the first ever time, won his first RCR Drivers' Championship. And he is the driver that will be following out on track at the moment. Beat CJ to the season 5 title. His teammate, not his teammate anymore. He's now in an Alpine along with BXTN. Second half of the year, second half of the life cycle of this game before we get towards May, June, when the new F1 game will come out and things will be shaken up yet again. Obviously, we're in the lull period of the F1 season, which will begin in March. So Binary then will go on board for a moment with the Drivers' Champion, with the reigning defending Drivers' Champion. You can see immediately used to these conditions, and you think, I believe he's opted for the right tyre here as well, despite the heavy rain. Definitely knows his stuff, does Binary. Last season, consistency wins. A lot of people would say he got lucky in some certain aspects of the season. But the majority of the time, he was just on the right tyre at the right time, picking the right strategies at the right time, reading the race perfectly. And that's exactly why he ended up the Drivers' Champion. We see him now coming up to turns 13 and 14, rounding out the final corners to put in the first ever qualifying lap of RCR Season 6, and it's going to be a 1:23.650. And let's see how competitive that time is. We've got Slazenger Volvo, double Drivers' Champion, coming back into the pit lane. He's in the Red Bull this season. Reese Max as well coming up down the back straight. We're going to get on board, though, with the driver that's coming up to the line here. BXTN starts his lap. And Huff and Dorback, we were just discussing before the race, before this qualifying session began. Huff and Dorback puts it on pole as a 22.1 on the full wet tyres, proving my theory about Binary's choice for the inters wrong. CJ Websy, let's see who we can get a hold of here. David Kovalaki, Reese Max as well. Third and fourth. Reese Max third, David Kovalaki fourth. That's the second row of the grid for those two. Now, hopping on board with I'm Mr. DJ CJ. Santry coming up to the line as well, actually. We're going to clip Santry as he gets to the line, crosses it. And it's a 124.6. Can CJ beat that? Yes, he can with a 23.3. Beating his former teammate out in the first round of the qualifying laps. His new teammate, Websy, the first time ever in RCR that Websy and CJ are not teammates. Websy and BXTN, sorry, are not teammates. Triple Constructors Champions between the two of them. This season, though, they are separated for the first time ever. BXTN coming up to the line. It's a 22-1. Puts that on the front row of the grid. And as I was saying before we covered Huff and Dolbach's time, he has been knocking on the door of a win for quite some time now. And maybe today is his day. Excellent running in the wet here. Beating BXTN out by 100th, just over 100th of a second. I'm the Pog with a 21.838. This track is ramping up and Pog showing off his speed there. New driver towards the tail end of season 5. And lots of promise in his lap times. Definitely make sure that we're covering him for his next lap. CJ's teammate this year, Websy. Out of sync with the rest of the field. Large majority of them have already set laps. Here comes Websy though. Fastest in the second sector. And as he navigates turn 10, the hairpin. Incredibly difficult to get the power down even in the dry there. Much more difficult to do so in the wet. Coming up. Turns 13 and then 14, which brushes along the wall of champions, aptly named after 3 World Championship drivers crashed into it in the same race. There goes Websy. Invalidated his lap time again on turn 13-14. See what Ace can do in the Red Bull. Crosses the line. It's a 24.3. 2/10 of Santry. Santry sat out a large majority of last season. So Ace will be wanting to pull himself a bit closer to Santry's time. To the back of the field. David Kovalaki as well, down in 7th place. Lots of practice all these drivers have, as Binary puts in a 121.127 and puts it on provisional pole, as Slazenger Volvo with the 22.3 does a bit better than that. That's Binary 4 laps on this intermediate tyre. Track ramping up. Websy again invalidating his time. See if we can catch anyone else as they cross the line. That's BXTN in the Alpine. He's on an in lap or on a cool down lap. He's beginning his lap now. Gonna look through the field a bit more. Hog 5/10 up on his time. Nice little turn in there. You could see patient on the power. And puts it on provisional pole. Beats Binary's time by just over 1/10 of a second by the finest of margins. Binary quite happy on this intermediate tyre though, despite other drivers around him opting for the wet. But will this tyre pay him back later on? So we're on board with BXTN at the moment. Who's fastest in the second sector again. And he's on a Stormer this time around. Thank you very much for the subscription, Diana. Really appreciate that. As BXTN comes up to the line. Ooh, as he almost loses the back end of the car. That's going to cost him a lot of time. It's a 20. It's a 21. It's a 21.033. Misses out by just thousandths of a second. And that has got to hurt. That's got to sting a little bit. Cost him dearly. This track, though, ramping up. He'll be aware of that. He'll know that despite it being a brilliant time, it probably won't be the one that will stay at the top. Looking for Reese Max now, who's on a 30, so he's on a cooldown lap. David Kovalaki just invalidates his time as he comes up to the line. Who else have we got out on the track at the moment? That's Santry, who's 2.9 seconds down on his time as well. So again, another warm-up lap. Obviously desperately searching for a time here. Down 4 tenths on his previous lap, and no doubt will come back in. Pog at the moment looking to increase his margin to BXTN. So far, so good. But Pog at the moment, he's got a read of the field. And nobody yet to usurp him from his throne at the top, the provisional pole spot, the front row of the grid. Will he extend his lead? Yes, he will. By 4 tenths of a second, 4.20. And he's got to be feeling high right now. Santry on an in lap. I miss DJ CJ 5 tenths up on his time. We'll keep an eye on him as well. David Kovalaki in the beginning stages of his lap. Ace is invalidated. CJ intermediate tyres. Fastest in the second sector. In the V carb. Coming up the final corners. Let's see what he's got. A little slippy on the red and white curve there. Across the line, though, it's a 21.154. Improves on his time massively. Puts him on the second row just ahead of his teammate. A Red Bull there. That's Ace. And the kick Sauber, that's David Kovalaki. These drivers, they've obviously been racing in different leagues throughout the remainder of December. We ended on, I believe, December 6th, or maybe slightly earlier than that, but basically early December, as David Kovalaki puts himself in 9th place on the grid. Moves up a spot with a 22.7. Let's see what Sancho can do. Puts himself just behind Huff and Dolbach, 2 tenths behind his teammate. That's a good showing from him. We've got a few drivers now. Slowing down. Binary sets the fastest lap of this qualifying session so far. It's a 20.557. And that is game on. Pog, BXTN, CJ will all be looking to beat that. CJ cool down and then begins his next lap. He's got his teammate just ahead of him there. Mercedes of Pog coming out of the pits. Reese Max as well. 2 Mercedes drivers will be out on track. Most drivers will be out on track at this stage. FR Elements just joined as well. He'll be able to get into his car. A Ferrari driver. Just looking around to see where we're at. It's like David Kovalaki diving into the pits. He'll have time to get himself a new set of tyres, as Sancho does the same thing as well. And Huff and Dolbach maybe will also have just enough time, maybe. Going to be cutting it close, actually, for Huff and Dolbach. Binary begins his final lap, or his final lap, should I say, of qualifying. May have another one in the bank. 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes left in this session. CJ 3/10 up, across the line, improves on his time, but not on his place. He'll have to do a cool down lap now, and then get underway. The X10 has started his lap as well. Off and Dolbach slightly ahead. Binary on a cooldown. Hog has begun his lap as well. So then, here we go. I think out of the competitors, at the very forefront we have, just looking around, bear with me 2 seconds, we have Huff and Dolbach at the front of all those who are setting laps at the moment. Passenger moving slowly. Yeah, so we'll stick with Huff and Dolbach. Then move down to Binary, who's just behind him. Now Binary's on an in lap, isn't he? Okay. Here we go then. Let's see what Huff and Dolbach has. This will be not his final attempt. This is the start of his final attempt now. Okay, so Binary behind them. CJ in lap. Websy puts in a 20.479. 8/10 improved on his time and a 10th ahead of Binary. And that will be his final time this session. Pog is invalidated, but he won't be too bothered by that. Slazenger of Volvo has crossed the line as well. So then, out in front of this field at the moment, Websy with provisional pole. Then you've got somebody spun around. Who is that? That's Websy. No, it's not. He's not spun around. Okay. Slowing down, allowing enough drivers to pass. The two Alpines on track at the moment. Binary, BXTN. In that order. And qualifying is now over. Once you cross the line, that is it. These times are the times that count now. Here he goes. Has it been a wondrous lap from the champion? Misses out just. And BXTN pips his former teammate Websy. CJ crosses the line. Huff and Dolbach crosses the line as well. Binary. Websy comes into the pits. I'm the Pog. The last to maybe be able to take BXTN's top spot. And he just misses out by hundredths of a second. Slazenger of Volvo remains 7th. Santry. And I'll just try to get Reese Max back into this session. There we go. But there you have it then. The first pole of Season 6 goes to BXTN. And that came out of absolutely nowhere, didn't it? He had the opportunity in the beginning stages and in the second half of qualifying. He had that big moment where he almost lost the back end. Collected it up and it was only just a 10th, just under a 10th even, behind provisional pole. But there is your grid. BXTN, I'm the Pog, Websy, Binary. That's first and second row. On the third row, Huff and Dolbach and I'm Mr. DJ CJ. In the fourth, Slazenger Volvo in the Red Bull and Santry in the Haas, in the Kick Sauber and in the Mercedes Patronus. That's David Kovalaki and Reese Max on the fifth row. And Red Bull McLaren on the 6th row. That's Ace and FR Element. And finally, Cottony Goblin with no time at all in the Williams in P13. That came out of nowhere, didn't it? That's very surprising. Hopefully Reese Max managed to get back into the session. I'm not sure though. Okay then, so if you're new here, if you've never watched before, or you're just stumbling by, we now have a bit of a 5-minute break between the qualifying session and the race. That is for drivers to pick their strategies and to have a little break, maybe a little drink before they get into this. It's going to be a 50% race. That's 35 amazing laps around this fantastic circuit Gilles Villeneuve, named after the famous Gilles Villeneuve, and whose son, Jacques Villeneuve, champion in 1998. Yeah, can't remember now. What a horrible tidbit of fact when you don't even know. Also, lots of famous races, the Canadian Grand Prix, especially this track. 2007, where the safety car was called out 4 times over the course of the race, most seriously for Robert Kubica, who crashed his BMW Sauber heavily at the hairpin and was luckily emerged unhurt. In the end, just 12 drivers reached the end of that race, including Takuma Sato, who pulled off an unlikely overtake in his Super Aguri on Fernando Alonso. Throughout it all, Lewis Hamilton kept his cool, take his first ever F1 win on his 6th attempt. Kubica would make up for his crash the following season by taking victory at this track. Keep on getting messages from Reese Max to invite. Reese Max, this will be the only time that I say this. I'm not responsible for inviting you to the game. This is a favour to you. So, barking invite will not always get you an invite. Try to get another driver to do it. And if you can't, then sorry, but you'll have to get a better connection. Lap record around here, 1:13.078. That belongs to Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes. In 2019, he set that. And the last result here, Max Verstappen took a win in the Red Bull, followed by Lando Norris and George Russell. Three of the drivers that really shone last season, I'd say, all on the podium. The 2024 Canadian Grand Prix. Previous winners here for RCR, though. Binary, Lex, and Huffendorback. Lex is no longer racing. I think he is spectating, though. He's watching his friend David Kovalaki. In fact, we can go over the grid again as well. So, BXTN and I'm the Pog, Websy and Binary, Huffendorback, I'm Mr. DJ CJ, Slazenger and Santry, David Kovalaki and Reese Max. That's your top 10, the 10 points paying positions. And then you've got Ace, FR Element, and Cotton the Goblin, who will be fighting to get within the points. Turn down your game sound. Okay. Why is the game sound so loud? That's mental. Absolutely mental. That's unfortunate. Well, you see, that's what happens when you don't stream for like ages. I'm getting told your game sound is too high. I agree. It was too high. Could you please turn game sound mic perfect? Yep, done that. Yeah, there's a wild Websy. I think, hang on, let's have a look. Hang on a minute. That'll be why. It was reset. It was reset because I'm on a different console. There we go. We've solved it. How very unfortunate. Some would say a day late and a dollar short, yeah. Exactly what some would say. I've set it to what it used to be. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to work out for us. We'll hope so. Bit quiet, isn't it? I'm waiting for the game to ramp up a little bit. There we go. Maybe a bit louder than that. Bit louder than that. Maybe all the way up. I think it was because of the Xbox was reset to switch Xboxes because I uninstalled the game. This was the only one with it on. Anyway. I think around there is the sweet spot. So BXTN leads them away on the formation lap, and as I was saying before, going to be, well, actually I didn't say this before, lots of DRS zones around this track. He's going to have to keep his wits about him and also try to break that DRS train, which is incredibly powerful around here. There you can see the race strategy for those on the hard tyre. Most people will start on the medium. In fact, we can check that now just to confirm. Oh, it's about a 50-50 split, actually. So you got some on the medium, some on the hard. You can do a one-stop around here quite easily, as with most tracks around this game. Cottony Goblin. Yeah, at the very back there. Got a massive gap between BXTN and Cottony Goblin. BXTN lining up in his grid slot, and Cottony just coming up. 3 cars just coming up to turn 10. BXTN has fumbled the lineup on the grid, and that means it's going to give Pog an excellent advantage, who's just in his grid box there. You can see perfectly in his grid box. Just got that view there from BXTN's side camera. BXTN, if we get from Pog's view, not in his grid box properly. Not the optimal thing. So then, round 6 of RCR. Round 1, sorry, of RCR Season 6 is underway, and I'm the Pog gets away off the line incredibly well, and so does BXTN, but he cannot defend. He tries to go down the inside. Pog leaves a little bit of space on the inside curb and manages to pull off an incredible overtake. It's hard race between the two. You can see carbon fiber coming off the both of them. Pog's got that inside line again, and BXTN desperately trying to muscle his way through. And Binary Webbs is falling down the order a little bit. Got a few drivers already getting out of shape. And Pog is away. BXTN lost that place off the line. He'll be dreading the fact that he didn't get his car lined up in that grid slot the way that he should have done. And Binary now hot on the heels of his new teammate. David Kovalaki moving up past FR Element. Huff and Dolbach has made an error somewhere along that line, or been crashed into, because he's now down in 11th place. Cottony Goblin battling it out with FR Element. FR Element getting the better of him, and then also making his way past David Kovalaki as well. Incredible stuff. Now on board with Binary, though, who's hunting down his teammate and only a 10th behind. And as I was saying before, DRS is going to be incredibly powerful here. And this season of Formula 1, DRS is activated after the first lap, and it will be done so now. They won't get this helping a DRS, but they certainly will do in the second stage, just after turn 3-4. FR Element moving back down the order. It looks like he's had a bit of a rough time of it, losing places to Cotton and Goblin and Reese Max Ace and David Kovalaki in the background there as well. Websy and I, Mr. DJ CJ, getting close together. Websy close to the Binary though. Then Binary is now to BXTN. Binary very close to his teammate before, and now he's dropped back about 5/10. The defending champion will certainly be wanting to make a good impression here today. It's 24 rounds in this championship, but there's a potential for it to be cut short because we always cut the championship short if the game comes out before the end of the season. We drivers not knowing if there's going to be 24 rounds or 20, every round will count until anyone is absolutely sure. Websy and BXTN staying in touch. DRS wide open and manages to get that place back that he lost on the first lap in the first few corners. Pog fought hard for it, but in the end DRS outshines driver skill for the time being. Binary, the 1:12.273, fastest driver on track at the moment, and makes an incredible overtake on the inside of Pog into turn 1. Definitely made that count, and now he's hunting down his teammate again. And this time around, BXTN does not have DRS to defend against that. The Pog down from first in the first lap to now third, and now has Websy snapping at his heels. Plenty of time here. These drivers have to be patient. But patience is no longer a virtue that Websy can afford because the driver ahead of him, Pog, has just moved outside of DRS. And that is going to be incredibly important because once the DRS train is broken, it is incredibly hard to get back in. And Websy needs to do just that. He makes his overtake on Pog. CJ also looking as well. Websy just managing to get back in the DRS there. And the RB driver. CJ as well. Pog moving down the field in full race trim at the moment. Doesn't have the pace, but you could also say that maybe he's picked up some slight damage from his hard fighting with BXTN. You could definitely see carbon fiber flying off both cars. Doesn't look like it's affected BXTN all too much. He is still in the lead of this race. Defending well at the moment. I'm Mr. DJ CJ, fastest in the first sector so far. We're on lap 4 of 35 though. Long way to go. Long distance to go in this race. Just over 150 kilometers. These drivers will race. FR Element with a 3-second time penalty already. Reese Max has one as well for good measure. And these drivers outside the top 10, as I say, that FR Element manages to get it within the top 10. But only provisionally, as he's got that 3-second time penalty, it's going to knock him back down. These drivers that are fighting for the low points positions cannot afford to be picking up penalties this early on. CJ, as we said before, had that fastest sector, has now got the fastest lap as well. What's it going to take as CJ messes up the entry a little bit there, loses their 10th. Websy. As they come up to turn 8. Brake just under the bridge there. Almost used the shadow from the sun as your braking line. Big lock up from CJ. And Pog has dropped out of DRS to both CJ and Websy now. It looks like Slazenger Volvo is marking. Sizing up his target. Pulls ahead into turn 13. Ahead of Santry at the moment. Huff and Dolbach down in 8th place. What happened to Huff and Dolbach? We didn't see it though, did we? It probably was right in front of us on the screen, but fortunately... Fastest lap at the moment, I'm Mr. DJ CJ. 1:12.1, closest driver to that is Binary. to fighting for a championship last season, now fighting over point for fastest lap. Binary, BXTN, Websy all bunched up. Binary, you can see losing a little bit of touch there to BXTN, who slower into the corner. Actually, that's paid off dividends for Binary there. Slow and fast out, didn't work out. Binary deep into turn 10 and manages to get past BXTN. And what's Websy and CJ got to say about this? Nothing for now, holding stationary, the two V-carbs. Say that Websy now on the outside of turn 1. This is exactly what happened to BXTN. The last time around. The last time it was Pog. This time a lot cleaner. And that's Websy up into second place past BXTN. And now BXTN has to look ahead of him and look behind him as CJ is closing in on him now. Van Dolbach manages to pick up a 3-second time penalty. Got past his teammate Santry, but it cost him. And Huff will be pushing over the limit, trying to get back into this race. He had buckets of pace. But now down in a lowly 7th for 13. We wanting to get back into this and into the mix. He's losing touch with these 5 drivers here. Or if you discount Pog, who is clearly moving further back. Nothing doing for BXTN on Websy this time. Didn't manage to get the place back under DRS conditions. See some lockups here, there and everywhere. We had plenty of penalties last time we visited here, and it's looking like we're on course for some more. Binary won this race last time out. Is he going to win it twice in 2 seasons? Back-to-back wins at Canada maybe for Binary. Websy though, getting incredibly close. Websy not even on the podium last time. It was Lex and Huff and Dolbach. Huff and Dolbach has got past. Slazenger of Volvo is still watching. These 4 though, as Websy pulls to the inside and manages to get past in a fairly easy overtake under DRS conditions. Ace picks up a 3-second time penalty. Binary loses out. BXTN closing back up to his teammate, but he's got more to worry about. I'm Mr. DJ CJ there as Binary takes that corner excellently into turn 1. And that's exactly the right amount you want to cut that corner. Optimizing his line. Trying to stick with Websy, who at the moment leads this race. Van Dolbach now just down 1 place after losing down. He went down to, I think, last even. And all these drivers on the mediums going to be starting to think about strategy soon. 8 laps on these medium tyres. I'm Mr. DJ CJ and BXTN going wheel to wheel, side by side. CJ later on the brakes, then BXTN cuts back though and decides to wait another moment because now it looks like he may get DRS. Faster straight line speed though for BXTN. Manages to... Oh, he's managed to get past him. What am I talking about? Insane. Anyway, moving on swiftly. I'm DJ CJ. Past BXTN. Binary still behind Websy. And maybe now the medium tyre is no longer going to be the favoured tyre. We're only 10 laps in though. It can't really wear that much. Reese Max struggling to stay connected to this session. There you can see penalties. 6 seconds already for Ace. 3 seconds for the rest of the drivers that have penalties at the moment. And there's the gaps. Slazenger Volvo has pulled up alongside Santry. He's going to try and make a move into turn 8, and he does so. Nice little DRS zone there to help him on his way. And he's now 3 seconds off Huff and Dolbach, who overtook him just a few laps ago. So Slazenger Volvo losing time behind Santry, behind Huff and Dolbach. Behind Santry, behind Huff and Dolbach. 3 seconds already. Santry doing his bit for his teammate. And where is Pog in this race at the moment? Down in 5th, but now back within DRS. You've got to say, these 4 at the front, RB, Alpine, RB, Alpine, have slowed each other down a little bit. It's allowed Pog back into this fight in the Mercedes. The XTN, importantly for everyone else, and crucially, well, negatively for him, picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that's where everyone else will now be a little bit more careful, because they can see exactly how easy it is for it to happen. You do wonder who's got warnings here, who's on the last warning before they get a penalty out of these 5. Fortress of Websey at the moment looking impregnable. Pulling out 8 10s, being shrunken back down to just 5, but that's due to the DRS. It's been aided along for Binary, and Websey will be looking to pull just outside of that this lap, surely. The XTN has got the hurry up at the moment. Closing in. Oh, hi, Mr. DJ CJ. Since he picked up that 3-second penalty, and so I'm the Pog. He's picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's also just moved back outside of DRS. Fluctuating in and out of it. Speaking of moving outside of DRS, is that CJ with no DRS? No, he manages to live for another day. And down to 9 10s. Important here for CJ to stay within DRS. And he does so. Can't make more mistakes like that this race. And Binary just 6 tenths behind Websey again. Maybe just holding station a bit. Or maybe Websey has done all he can to get Binary out of DRS, but can give no more. And the gap getting to 9 tenths, 9.5 tenths. But then DRS comes along again, brings Binary back into play. I'm Mr. DJ CJ, though, out of play at the moment, 1.1 seconds behind, and that's not enough to stay on the tail of Binary and Websey. And this is going to make him vulnerable to BXTN, who's closed in 3 tenths, 2 tenths behind. Binary with a big lockup, CJ with a big lockup as well. Few drivers there. Maybe struggling on these tyres now as he starts to get worn down. And where is this going to leave Binary? Just 5 tenths behind again. CJ manages to hold on, locks up, coming into the pits, late on the brakes, doesn't need those tyres anymore, so he doesn't care about that. He's going to come into the pit lane and swap for a fresh set of boots, and it's going to be a set of hard tyres waiting for him here. The V-Carb and the Alpine, the 2 cars in the pits and back out again. And in that order, they emerge from the pit lane, 6th and 7th, potentially down into 8th, 7th and 8th. If Cottony Goblin manages to get ahead. No, he doesn't. That pit lane coming out into turn 2, into turn 3 there. It's turn 2, sorry. managing to cut a corner, keep these two ahead of Cotton the Goblin. That was important for their strategy. And this will alert the others on the medium tyre who will be wary of an undercut. And let's see what they do. Websy will continue on, obviously, because he's on those hard tyres. Binary flies into the pits. Not as urgent on the brakes as his teammate was. Three-second penalty for Ace. And Binary being held stationary for a second. No, he isn't. That was just a lovely connection. Where does this leave Binary? Just ahead of Mr. DJ CJ, who's warming up these hard tyres. 1.4 seconds to Binary. Is he able to get back within DRS here? It'll be crucial for him to do so. You can see him hunting down. .2, 1.3 seconds. It's fluctuating here, and it looks like Bannery's managed to get his tyres warmed up. Meanwhile, BXTN charging down CJ while he's looking ahead. He should also be looking behind, and I'm sure he is. His wing mirror's full of Alpine at the moment. BXTN hunting down there, Mr. DJ CJ. CJ won't be too worried about losing the place to BXTN, because this will give him DRS, and he doesn't have to worry about BXTN being ahead due to his penalty, but he doesn't want to allow BXTN to slow him down at all. And we have a safety car that has allowed those that haven't pitted yet. What has happened here? A safety car has been brought out late on in this, halfway through this race, sorry, just under halfway. And that is because Ace is missing a front wing. FR Element is missing part of a wing. David Kovalaki also with a bit off his car. The big caps between the two, and though Cotton the Goblin has just got a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. So then, this is certainly going to shake up this race a lot. Drivers will be expected. Websy allows Ace to pass, unlap himself. Websy will be coming into the pit lane and saying thank you very much to Ace there. And this has worked out incredibly for Huff and Dolbach as well, being on these hard tyres, because all those on the medium pitted. Websy out, fresh mediums. And these will go to the end. A new front wing for Slazenger Volvo. Explains a little bit of his woes at the moment. Manages to get that free pit stop in. Doesn't manage to come out ahead of Santry. So the safety car will stay out for around 3 laps, which at the moment we are on the first of those. It has picked up the race leader, who is now Websy, who managed to step right into that one very nicely. He will be absolutely thrilled with this. It's not shaking up the field too much. It has allowed for a free pit stop though for Websy, but it was around time. They did protect him against the undercut that was going to happen because of those medium tyres, those fresh hard tyres that the others had put on, and then the offsetting strategy. It's allowed Websy to slot in at the front. It's allowed Huff and Dolbach to come back into this race. Started 5th, don't forget though. I'm the Pog now as well. bunching up all these drivers. Cottony Goblin gets another 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Can't seem to get it right. A little bit of trivia while we wait for these cars to navigate the safety car laps. 1991 Canadian Grand Prix, Nigel Mansell qualified in second place. The 1991, Canadian Grand Prix, and soon made light work of his easing. What? Sorry. Made light work of his teammate. The lead of the start of the race, a position which he'd remain in for the majority of the afternoon. Such was Mansell's confidence, he began the final lap of the race by waving to the fans, and then suddenly his Williams began to slow. Just half a lap from victory, Mansell's car ran out of fuel and ground to a halt at the hairpin. Nelson Piquet, he was 57 seconds behind Nigel Mansell before his stoppage, flew past and took the win. It was the Brazilian's final win of his career. I believe that is also the one where the famous images come from of Mansell trying to push his car along before nearly collapsing of exhaustion. So Webbsy at the moment, very happy with his choices so far. Started on the hard tyre, now on the medium, fresh mediums almost, as the safety car laps don't wear down the tyres much. These will be brand spanking new medium tyres that will allow him, maybe, unless Binary has anything to say about it, allow him to pull away from this field, as the rest are on hard tyres. And there is a delta between the two of them, about 6-7 tenths between the two when they are fresh. See, they're weaving left to right, trying to warm the tyres up a bit. And here we go then. The restart has happened. Webbsy has pushed and put down the throttle, and it has caught Binary napping a little bit. BXTN having a little look on the inside of 13, but no overtaking though until they all have crossed the start-finish line. You can only overtake once you've passed that start-finish line, which is now Binary. Now looking at Webbsy, FR limit gets a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. BXTN all over the back of Binary at the moment, but has lost his concentration a bit, slipped and slid, and almost lost the back end there, and it's put CJ all over the back of him. You've got I'm the Pog and Huff and Dolbach very close together as well, and that is the Red Bull of Ace being lapped by everyone, moving down the field as he wasn't able to unlap himself during that safety car period. So blue flags waved for everyone at the moment, and as I said before, Webbsy now starting to pull a gap on Binary. Gap now at 1.1 seconds. Webbsy will be very happy with this. The lack of pressure as well on his shoulders. He knows he's got plenty of pace in the tank and the pace over those behind him. Pog 1.4 seconds. So a couple of drivers not getting this safety car restart right, and unfortunately for them, it's resulted in in the safety car being for absolutely nothing. Pog was so close. Better in the wet than in the dry, it would seem, as Websy sets the fastest lap of the race so far, and rightly so. And we've got another safety car. What has happened? That is FR Element all the way at the back. And has he caused another safety car? I think so. Yes, he has, with a missing front wing. How on earth has that happened? A full course safety car immediately after the other one had ended. And this... Cotton and Goblin picks up another drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. What a shame, though. What a great shame for the racing there. And Websy, well, I think now this gives them the opportunity of, if one pits, the other doesn't. So you'd have to be very daring to go onto the medium tyre, I'd say, from this position. Those that are on the hards, I mean. We'll see, though. Does this safety car hold any value to any drivers? We'll see once they come into the pit lane, or don't. You think, though, those that may think they've got nothing to lose would come into the pits? You skipping it. And the Pog locks his brakes, spins the car. And that is a race that is going from bad to worse. Tried to slow down for the pit lane line. Managed to avoid a penalty, but caused himself to have a bit of a spin. And is now going to be going to the back of the field. But has got a fresh set of medium tyres that he will now take to the end of the race. Got a lot of work to do, but it's definitely doable. Websy, Binary, BX10, CJ, Huff and Dolbach. Cotton and Goblin retires and leaves the session. Slazenger, Volvo, Reese Max, David Kovalaki and the Pog. Those are the drivers at the moment in the points paying positions. Pog just scoring one lowly point at the moment, but that will be set to change once this race gets underway. I have absolutely no doubt, especially with him being on those fresh medium tyres. And what a great race this has been so far. And those that are just tuning in, the race started with BX10 on pole and I'm the Pog in second place. They shared the front row. BX10 didn't manage to get his car lined up in the grid slot, so was actually further back than he normally would have been. This allowed Pog to come up alongside, and the two of them had an incredible battle for first place. Pog won out, but then DRS beat Pog in the end, and then Pog went down to second place on the second lap just after BX10 gets DRS. And now Pog down in 10th after pitting. Didn't really have the pace in the dry. It was a wet qualifying session, but now potentially has the advantage to come back up through the field. He's a driver for you to watch, down in 10th place at the moment, but no doubt for me, he'll move his way through the field and maybe get back into 5th, but has potential to go even further from there. Just depends on whether or not this traffic holds him up too much, and there is a lot of traffic and not many opportunities to overtake apart from the two straights in the grid on the track, sorry, but you know, you could say that's half of the track, but you could also say that the track is very short and it happens very quickly. So Webber's got to do it all again. Not this lap though. Oh, what's that? Accidentally no longer in a party, so let's do that. Let's sort that out. And options, invite only. The Goblin leaves the session. There we go. So then, safety car remaining out. What shall we do? More trivia, more poorly read trivia that I've got written down here. Jean Lazy got the best birthday present possible in 1955 as he took his first and only F1 victory. here at the Canadian Grand Prix. The Frenchman started from 5th in his Ferrari and overtook all in front aside from Michael Schumacher. Then, on lap 57, Schumacher was forced to pit with an electrical issue, allowing Alesi to slide into the lead. Alesi stayed there until the end and emerged as the popular winner on that day of the race. His Ferrari came to a halt on the lap back to the pits as he was out of fuel. Schumacher collected Alesi, and the Ferrari driver completed a triumphant return to the pits on the side of Michael Schumacher's Benetton. Something that you don't really see the drivers do anymore, riding alongside other cars due to safety reasons. So I was saying before, last corner of this circuit, absolutely named the Wall of Champions due to the number of F1 greats that it's caught out over the years. The list of drivers that have had accidents at turn 13 include Michael Schumacher, Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve, Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel. In March 2017, it was announced that the wall would undergo modifications ahead of the next race as it was deemed too dangerous for the new design of the F1 cars, which you can understand because they keep on getting wider and wider. Okay then, so the safety car has come in and now the drivers are lining up. Websy leading them away. He will decide when they go. And he's decided. No, he hasn't. Yes, he has. Looked like he did, but that could just be the fact that he was just going straight. And there we go then. He has decided and he's gone. He's made that absolutely perfect. And BXTN is now all over the back of his teammate. And that was an excellent safety car restart from Websy there. Already 9/10 ahead of Binary. And Binary, I think, predicted when Websy would go a bit too early there and has managed to get himself a second behind Websy now. BXTN picks up another 3-second time penalty, and he's going to be slamming his wheel, and kicking up a fuss in that car at the moment because he will be absolutely livid with that, and also loses the back end in the exact same place he did last time when we had the safety car restart. So driving angry at the moment, BXTN, but rightly so. He's got 6 seconds of time penalty to contend with, and safety cars keep on happening, and this field keeps on getting bunched up and bunched up. And as that happens, well, BXTN's due to lose more and more places unless he can pull 6 seconds on the drivers behind. .1 seconds, Websy already ahead. You can see him checking out. Off into the distance he goes as they come up to turn 13 and 14. BXTN managing to stick with Binary. Not the dominant display, though, that Websy had last time. I think those medium tyres maybe started to come a bit more in line. Ace retires from the session. We've got a caution, but that is in the pit lane. Ace retires in the pit lane. DNF for the Red Bull driver, BXTN. 8/7 and as I say, that Websy was struggling. He's actually managed to pull out a massive 5/10 in just a few short corners. Now down to 4, though. Santry has left the session but not retired from the race, so I feel like that's a disconnect. Maybe we'll get back in. Hopefully we'll get back in. This is making Sancho lose places, though, as he struggles at the moment. Manages to get back into the session. Offendorbach just 3/10 behind. I'm Mr. DJ CJ back into this race. BXTN moves up past Binary, overtakes his teammate into turn 13. And Binary will be okay with that. And maybe he can use his teammate as a tow. And as with before, when I think it was BXTN overtook CJ. Binary not too worried about BXTN being ahead. We'll use that DRS if BXTN has the pace to catch up to Websy. At the moment, though, 2 seconds behind the V-Carb driver, and it's not looking good. Some would say. Some would say it's not looking good at the moment. CJ on the heels of Binary at the moment. Binary allowed that DRS though from his teammate. Will his teammate come to his aid? .2 seconds between Websy and BX10, and just a short time between this lap and the end of the race. And there goes Binary back past BX10, the two of them towing each other along. DRS all powerful here. And that's exactly why Websy is very happy to be on those medium tyres and to get out of it. And as we can see, I'm the Pog cutting through the field massively at the moment. He's in 6th place. And now closing in on Huff and Dahlbach. He's on those fresh medium tyres. Got that 3-second time penalty to contend with. The driver ahead has one too. So potentially 5th place on the cards for Pog. And maybe a bit more than that if he can manage to get ahead and then pull out a gap. He's also got BX10 ahead of him, who I think has more penalties. Let's just double check that information. Yeah, BX10 has 6 seconds of penalty. So if Pog gets within 3, then that is Pog into 4th place. To get him past Huff and Dahlbach, if he does get past Huff and Dahlbach. Again, BX10 and Binary swapping places. This looks more strategic than anything else, though. Doesn't look like it's a race for position. It looks like these two know that BX10 has those 6 seconds, so they're going to try and use DRS to help each other along. It's keeping that gap between Websy and BX10 at 2.2 seconds. Maybe they're hoping, with them both being on hard tyres, that Websy's tyres potentially may start to wear a little bit and the hard be more favourable. But at this rate, it's going to take a lot for Binary to contend with Websy at the moment. 2.6 seconds away from the leader. We're not really seeing much of Schlesinger of Volvo this race, down in 7th place at the moment. 1 second off, I'm the Pog. Pog is doing very well. Got a yellow flag and another safety car. And who's that caused by? That's caused by Reese Max. Full front wing missing. And this has shaken up the race now. What do you do from here? Pog gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. His push is all over. And all drivers coming into the pits. This is very important. Binary is going to have to stack up behind BX10. CJ is going to have to stack up behind Websy. Maybe there's enough of a gap between those two. Let's have a look. There goes Websy. Into goes CJ. Huff and Dahlbach. This has really mixed up the field here. Websy manages to get off scot-free. It's put Binary down into 5th place. BX10 up in 6th. And that is probably the best result Websy could have absolutely hoped for. The buffer between him and Huff and Dahlbach. In fact, the buffer between him and CJ is 2 drivers that already have time penalties. Websy has absolutely... he's got away with that one, that's for sure. I wouldn't say looked out, he was already 1st place, but... If you're in the lead of a race and you get a late safety car, that is exactly how you want it to go. You want 2 drivers behind you that you do not have to worry about whatsoever. And due to them stacking up in the pit lane, it has meant that a couple of drivers have missed out. Really, they are 2nd and 3rd at the moment, CJ and Binary, due to the penalties. We are coming up to the 4 safety cars of 2007. This is our 3rd. It's not got the rain of 2011 Canada. and the chaos that was that race. But many twists and turns around each corner has proven anything can happen here. Anything will happen. Websy at the moment will be... I can't believe how happy... Like, if that was me in the car, I'd be so thrilled with that. There's just no way, is there? There's just... You've got... Couldn't write a better script for Websy at the moment. First place, and the two drivers behind him have time penalties, so he doesn't have to worry about them. The worst thing for Websy, though... Actually, we won't say that. We won't curse it. I feel like now that I've said that we won't curse it, it's going to happen, but... Some drivers were advocating before the race started, advocating to switch back to the multiplayer car. Obviously, that is not an option. But I bet some of them wish that they hadn't argued for it either. Because here we are. And this will be a topic that they latch onto, certainly, because stacking in the pit lane has bunched up and mixed around this field greatly. And Websy this time has gone, has he? No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's just straightened up. It looks like he's gone. But he hasn't, because he's only at half speed. Ooh, it's close. Gets BX10. And he's incredibly close. Websy's got it wrong. Websy's done the restart, but he's only 2 tenths ahead of BX10, and BX10's going to be hot on his heels at the moment. Let's have a look to see. BX10 all over the back of him. But he's got Huff and Dobak to worry about as well. He's got that time penalty. Maybe he wants to get ahead of Websy and try to check out up front. This is his only hope, really, of staying within the top. Whew, he's going to be quite far down, isn't he? Maybe 5th, 6th. Either way, Websy at the moment holding on to first place, 3 tenths ahead of BX10. But it's going to be an uphill battle from here because they will have DRS after this lap. And Websy will be absolutely flooring it at the moment, but it doesn't look like it's enough. The pace that BX10 seems to have is absolutely incredible. He's taken a whole 10th in just a few short corners. And when we're on fresh tyres like this, and the drivers are so close in these margins that they have, that's an incredible feat. And now BX10 honing in, closing in on Websy. Let's see what he can do. He's going to have a little look into turn 1, maybe. Thinks better of it. DRS now enabled. They bunch up slightly. Huff and Dolbach getting in there as well. I'm DJ CJ7, 8 tenths off Binary, very close behind. And that safety car will be the last safety car of this session. No more now. We're on lap 33 or 35. Even if there was a 5-car pile-up, it wouldn't bring up a safety car now. So it's all or nothing. And Websy has absolutely mastered the first sector there and pulled out 6 tenths on BX10. And that is absolutely crucial that he's done that. 8 tenths now. And is that BX10 making a mistake? Yes, it is. Because Huff and Dolbach is now very close to BX10. And BX10 with a massive lock up there as well. And he's actually going to be, it looks like he was going to be all over the back of Websy come this lap, come the end of this lap. And it's actually Huff and Dolbach who's charging in on BX10 second place. Lap 34 of 35 about to begin. And it's getting very heated here. Websy fastest man on track at the moment with a 1:10.5. And BX10 can do nothing but watch, really, at the moment. It's got absolutely no hope of finishing on the podium with those seconds of time penalties. And everybody else is just praying that someone else gets one. All drivers around him, though, will be tentatively placing their cars. There's too much at stake. There's too much to lose for them. And they can see, as I said earlier on, they can see how easy it is for it to happen. Huff and Dobak has 3 seconds. David Kovalaki, Sancho, Reese-Max, FR Element, Pog all have penalties. Pog even managed to get a penalty for speeding under the safety car. BSTN gets incredibly close to Websy now, though. And this looks like it's an overtake about to come in here. Goes for the outside line. He knew that that worked for Pog. And Websy battling it out. It's not worth it on track, but Websy actually a great exit as they touch wheels. BXTN trying to hold on, but doesn't manage to get past, and this has allowed Huff and Dobak to close in. Look at how close Huff and Dobak is here. BXTN has another look on the inside. Websy covers it off though, and all the while Huff and Dobak slipping on those tires, trying to get some grip, trying to get some purchase. He's all over the back of BXTN. We are on the final lap of this race. Binary has managed to get past CJ. That's Binary in second place at the moment. CJ 1.6 seconds behind. So then, here we go. And this is all or nothing. BXTN, will he be wanting to do it on track? Will Websy be stubborn enough to try and defend it? BXTN stays behind Websy. Comes out of the final corner. It looks like it's going to be on track for BXTN, but just Websy manages to stay ahead. Websy finishes the RCR Round 1 Canada Season 6 race in first place. Wins it in incredible fashion. Nothing but usurping from that spot. CJ manages to finish in 4th place. Did he pick up a penalty at the end? Can't see it. Yeah, it's not going to show me. Either way, our podium then. Websy, Binary, and Huff and Dobak. CJ missing out by, I assume, the narrowest of margins. We were too busy watching to see. And Huff and Dobak, after his woeful race, manages to sneak in driver of the day and a podium there. Websy holding on for the victory there as well. The first round of RCR Season 6 goes to him. And he'll be very happy with that indeed. What an incredible race. Something to be reviewed though, the drivers that have caused the safety cars. It seemed needless a lot of the time, and when the safety car had come out, it was for a car with a missing front wing and not for a collision on track, which I know in real F1 would definitely bring out a safety car. Even if it was just a slight bit of debris on the track, it might bring out a safety car. But with that said, when drivers are coming off left, right and centre and losing front wings, it's not ideal to have safety cars so sensitive or have those drivers making mistakes like that. Either way, we will go through the standings, the finishing positions one more time. Websy then picks up the first win of the season and manages to take his V-Carb to the top of the drivers' standings. Binary in second place. Great race from him. Managed to come back despite all the odds against him. Huff and Dobak in third. Great podium from him and driver of the day according to the game. Either way, great from him. CJ in fourth. Slaz fifth. BXTN sixth. David Kovalaki in 7th, Sancho 8th, Reese-Max 9th, FR Element 10th, Pog 11th, Ace 12th, and Cottony Goblin round out the 13 drivers that finished this race, and that will be your standings because this is round 1. So drivers that, unless they get a penalty, unless there's a steward's inquiry that then knocks someone down, that will be your standings going into round 2. I'd like to thank everybody who watched and everybody that tuned in, and I'd like to thank all the drivers that tune in as well. Really appreciate it. And yeah, next round we will be going to let's have a look, see if I've got it. Usually don't. I do have it. There we go. Next round will be Albert Park. We'll be going to sunny Australia, usually sunny Australia, for round 2. That'll be next week on Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. for all those that wish to tune in. That's UK time. From me, I'd like to thank you all one more time. Really appreciate you all, and I hope you all had a good New Year's and a good Christmas break. Again, if you do celebrate Christmas, if not, I really hope you had a good and happy holiday either way. See you again next time, people. See you again next week, Tuesday, 9:30 p.m.